What are you most looking forward to getting out of these 2 practices with the Rams this week?
It's just a chance to go against somebody other than your defense that you've been going against for the last however many weeks we've been here. So it's a good chance to get some game work, but in a controlled environment.
Will you go 11 on 11? You started to do that a little bit at the end of the week last week. Yeah. Will you ramp up to that?
Yeah.
Full, no limitations, full.
Good to go.
What's it like practicing against a team that you just played against last in the Super Bowl?
Just a practice. You know, it's going to be competitive, obviously, but I think any inter-squad practice is going to be competitive. So we're excited to get out there and see some different faces other than our own.
Is it going to be, I mean, have you kind of thought about what it's going to feel like seeing them again kind of so soon after kind of just playing them that kind of game a handful of months ago?
No, I honestly haven't thought about that.
How are you feeling now this week in terms of velocity, being able to throw the ball? Just give us an update on how you're feeling right now.
Yeah, getting stronger, gaining my weight back. We're on the right track.
Joe, what's it mean to get Jessie back?
Everyone's very excited. It was, you know, you felt the energy in the locker room when he came back yesterday. It was a nice jolt. So it's always good to see him.
Did his timeline surprise you? Was it earlier? Was it about what you thought?
I don't think I really expected any. I didn't have a due date. You know, it was up to him. Whenever we saw him, we saw him.
So you were surprised to see him yesterday?
No, I wouldn't say I was surprised. You know, I mean, either this week or next week or the week after that. It was one of them, so I wouldn't say I was surprised.
You mentioned like the word game. Like how much prep have you done, like schematically almost, to get ready for this kind of stuff?
None.
Just kind of go out there, work on what you want to work on, stuff like that.
Yeah, it's just another practice. Obviously, you want to go out and play well, but it's another practice to work on something specific.
How much experience have you had, maybe even back in your high school days? Is this like a preseason scrimmage from high school to see a different team like this?
Yeah, it'll be interesting. It'll be my first one. I don't really know what to expect. I don't know how intense it'll be, but I'm just excited to go against somebody other than our defense.
When you are looking at things, like you said, kind of still looking at plays, how they look during your installation, when you're against a different defense, different personnel, do you think at that point you may reconvene with coaches and tweak things after doing it against somebody else other than your own defense rep after rep?
You know, our base plays are our base plays. And then when you get into game prep, obviously you're going to put in different plays, maybe put a different route on the backside of one of our concepts. And so that'll change week to week. I wouldn't say we're going to change that after this week, no.
Joe, what can you get out of this practice that you wouldn't out of a regular practice against your guys in an 11-on-11 and things like that?
Well, it just takes the place of playing the preseason game. You know, you're in an intense environment without the chance of injury is what you hope to get out of these.
This kind of feel like the future of NFL, you know, preseasons basically, is these events being really for a guy like you, kind of where you get your real work in? Yeah,
I would say so. You know, it's tough to predict the future, but I think the way the league is going, I think once, you know, some of these teams start to move in a different direction, I think teams will start playing their starters less and less.
From a quarterback's perspective, what's the biggest adjustment you have to make with new offensive linemen, like when you overhaul a whole side? Like, what's the biggest adjustment that you guys have to go through on the field?
I would say just communication, building that rapport and that language up front in the heat of battle, understanding, you know, everyone else's language and communication. That's the biggest part.
Do you feel like for that specifically, these practices can be super valuable because this might be the first time you get LC, Kappa, and Karis all playing with you in a competitive environment?
Yeah, I would say, you know, LC, I'm not sure if he'll be out there in team today or not. You know, I'll have to ask him, but having him in the walkthroughs, the communication is the biggest part, having everybody out there.
Joe, do you have any relationship with Aaron Donald at all, beyond football, the field at all?
No, I've never met him in person, besides playing against him.
Did you happen to see him pointing at the ring in the Super Bowl last year when he won?
I did, yeah.
What was your reaction to that?
You won the ring. You know, do what you got to do.
Has there been a directive at all for your guys to make sure Aaron doesn't touch me in practice?
No, I'm hoping he's going to lay off me a little bit.
Yeah, because you said you know you're not going to get hit. How close is too close if a guy comes running off the edge?
Practice is practice. guys are going to get close. You just try to protect yourself if somebody decides to go rogue. I don't think they will. I think coaches do a good job of communicating what we expect today.
This will be an interesting scenario. The last live game you played in was against this football team, so you know their personnel, you know their schematic a little bit. How good will it feel to get back to competing at that level against a team that has that kind of skill level and that kind of coordination when they put together?
Yeah, it's just exciting to get out of the monotonous flow of camp. You know, you're playing against your defense every day, and then you try not to game plan against them, but then they start game planning against you, and so then you start game planning against them, and then you get mad at each other, and then you fight. And so it's just good to go against somebody else now.
Joe, what's the biggest thing that you've gotten from watching all of the football that you have so far in camp, the preseason games? What's the biggest benefit to you?
You know, you just get more of those mental reps. The more reps that you can bank throughout your career, the better you're going to be, and the more answers you're going to have when you're out there.
Is it helpful to see things that you wouldn't normally think to look for when you're just watching the game from the sideline, or no?
I wouldn't say that. It's definitely a different perspective. I don't know how much. I don't like consciously think about, oh, you know, I saw this, I can apply this to my game. It's just you're kind of sitting back watching, trying to help your other quarterbacks play well.
You talked about the turnovers, eliminating them kind of this year being kind of a point of emphasis, but you know, it looked like the splits were vastly different post-bye week last year compared to the pre-bye week. What was the big change that kind of led to that difference for the back half of the year?
Yeah, well, you know, obviously some luck comes with it. You know, you got some unlucky bounces in the first half, and then I would say my mindset probably changed in the second half. Still taking those chances, but being more judicious with it.
Would it be fair to say, I guess you talked about adding velocity in the first half of the year. Was that maybe that first half of the year, maybe testing out what windows you could and couldn't push, and then kind of getting a sense of that as the year went on?
No, I wouldn't say that. I would just say getting the feel for how to play in the NFL. You know, the first half of the year would have been the second half of my first season, so you know, just got more reps, understood the game better.
What does Jessie mean to this team and this defense?
Brings a lot of leadership in the locker room. Adds another great locker room guy in there. The more of those kind of guys that you can have in the locker room, the better chemistry you're going to have throughout your team, and I think that translates to the field, so we'll play better.
Outside of gaining the weight, is there something on the field that will let you know that you're fully healed and ready to go? Like, is there something you're looking for, whether it be throwing mechanics or something that will confirm to you that you're back to 100%?
Yeah, I'll keep that one to myself, but I'm looking for something.
Will you have any interest in watching your defense against their offense, going back and watching the film from these practices?
Yeah, that'll be fun. You know, that's more of a fun thing to go back and do, to see how your defense played, rather than, you know, gaining something from that. But I'll definitely go back and watch it. I'm excited to do that.
Jesse added to the back end, the way Dax Hill is playing, and you know the talent that they've got on that back end. Your defense overall, I mean, are you impressed with what you're seeing out there?
Yeah, our defense is going to be really, really good.
There's a lot talked about and spilled about you guys, you and the receivers, the offense. It seems like it's under-discussed, your defense, a lot. Do you view it that way? Do you feel like they're slept on a little bit?
I don't know. They're obviously a very, very good defense. You saw they played throughout the playoffs, throughout the year. We leaned on them a lot the beginning part of the year. So we know the kind of guys that we have over there. We know the kind of guys that we have on our team. We know we're going to be really good. You can just see it in practice, how everyone's flying around. So we're excited to go out and show it.
Zach talked about Hayden's catch radius. How excited are you to throw to him, and specifically how big of a weapon can he be in the red zone?
Yeah, he can be big for us. You know, with the three guys we have on the outside, teams are going to be obviously focused on them, and so Hayden's going to have to step up, and I think he really will. He's had a good camp, wants to learn, wants to get better, and that's what you ask from those guys.
Competitive?
Very competitive, yeah. Very fast, twitchy, catches the ball really well, smart. Excited to play with him.
You seem to be a guy who likes the physical aspect of football a good amount. Is there a party that wants maybe a little bit of contact?
Yeah. It doesn't feel like football without it.
When you first got here, did you watch a lot of Rams tape, and you still watch any Rams tape just because of the similarities of the offense?
Well, we've kind of, at the beginning, was very similar, and then we've kind of morphed our offense into our own. So we still have, a lot of the same, baseline plays, but we've kind of morphed into what we do best. And so it's similar, but I would not say it's the same anymore.
What do you think you do best as an offense?
Well, I think, we run the ball really well. We got to get better in play action, and then our drop back passes, I think what we do best with our guys on the outside.
There's a lot of talk about like the Shanahan offense or the McVay offense. What do you think the biggest characteristic of the Zach Taylor offense could be?
Throw to our horses on the outside really far down the field.
Joe, I know you and Jessie are telling you guys took a road trip. He was here for the first preseason game. What's it been like supporting him, knowing how badly he wanted to be here and how badly his teammates wanted him here? Yeah, everyone loves Jessie. And so when you have a guy like that who's great in the locker room, great on the field, and is in the situation that he is, you back him as much as you can because everyone loves Jessie. So, like I said, his business is his business. I know he would like to get a deal done, but it didn't happen. He's here now, ready to play.
If this Rams game were the first game of the regular season, or whether this Sunday, do you feel like you're good enough to go right now, or do you still need a little bit of time just to get that fine tuning done?
I could go out there and play, but I'm not where I want to be yet.
What, just the platform stuff, the challenging stuff?
Just like with any camp, you want those last 3 weeks of prep before you go out there. I would never say that I'm ready to go play when we still have 3 weeks of camp left to go, because there's so much growth you can do in those 3 weeks.
Joe, you do play football for fun. You talked about the Zach Taylor offense. Do you look forward to moments like that in practice against a really good team, against the Rams, trying to push the ball down the field and see what you guys can make of it?
Yeah, we're going to see how we match up against them. Obviously, we played them, but you have 2 weeks of prep and all that. We're going to go out and do what we do, and they're going to do what they do, and so it's exciting to see how you match up with those guys.
You enjoy testing their DBs like a Jalen Ramsey deep?
I wouldn't say that. I would say if I get my guys one-on-one, we're going to take it at any point in the year. But we're also going to run the ball really well.
Do you keep in mind that y'all could essentially play them again in a rematch in Super Bowl down the line? And is there maybe stuff that you don't want to show now during the joint sessions in case you guys do need to use it?
It's so far down the road. You never know how the season's going to play out. And so to think about that right now, I don't think anybody in the league is doing that.
You're still in the finishing up, or you probably finished the installation phase, but like you said, you're not tweaking. There's no game planning going on, so you're just fine-tuning, repping your stuff, your base stuff that you're going to lean on all season long.
Yeah, and after every practice, you reevaluate what you do. You might think this route could be better with this, change the depth of this route. You're obviously always talking about that stuff after every practice, every walkthrough. This felt right, this didn't, and that's just part of camp.
Do you talk with your receivers, your coaches, everybody? Is everybody part of that process with you?
Yeah, that's what's great about our team, I think, is that our coaches ask for the input of not just me, but our receivers. Do you like this route? Would you rather from this split or that split? And I think, that's what is going to make us really good, is we ask for input from everybody, and it all coalesces into the offense.
Everybody's got ownership at that point?
Yeah, exactly.
Would you say you have a bigger voice in the offense, Joe, each year that you've been in?
No, I wouldn't say that. I would say that I think I've earned my respect now, and that I can assert my opinion a little more. But I felt that way last year too. And so just the more you get, the more comfortable you get with the game and the speed of the play in the NFL and the defense that you're going to face, the more you're going to understand your own offense.
Zach and Brian have both said you guys need to be better in the red zone this year. From your perspective, who is a player that could really take the next step that you think could be really valuable in that part of your offense? Is it T with his size, or Hayden? Like, who's kind of the person that you think could really get that going for you?
I think running the ball up front with those big guys, is going to be the biggest thing in the red zone. If you can just run it down there, that's ideal.